Have you ever felt that deep, inexplicable calling? A whisper in your soul suggesting there's something more to existence than what meets the eye? Perhaps you've experienced moments of profound clarity, where the veil of ordinary reality seems to thin, revealing glimpses of a deeper truth. Ancient wisdom traditions across cultures speak of a remarkable journey, one that transforms not just our understanding, but our very essence. This isn't just another spiritual guide. It's a carefully mapped pathway through the territories of consciousness that sages and mystics have traversed for millennia. In this profound exploration, we'll uncover the hidden mechanics of spiritual awakening, exploring how the purification of heart and mind creates a vessel for divine consciousness. From the subtle art of transcending ego to the profound dynamics of karma and dharma, you'll discover practical wisdom that bridges ancient knowledge with modern understanding. Whether you're taking your first steps on the spiritual path or seeking deeper insights into your existing practice, this guide will illuminate the universal principles that govern spiritual transformation. Let's begin with the foundational understanding of the universal spiritual path that unites all authentic traditions. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast mountain range, where countless paths wind their way to the same luminous peak. This is perhaps the most fitting metaphor for what mystics and sages have called the universal spiritual path, a journey that transcends cultural boundaries while honoring the unique ways each tradition approaches the divine. At its heart, this universal path reveals a profound truth, that beneath the diverse languages, rituals, and practices of world spirituality lies a golden thread of shared understanding. Like a river with many tributaries, all authentic spiritual traditions flow toward the same ocean of divine consciousness. Let me share a story that illuminates this principle. In the 12th century, a Sufi mystic named Ibn Arabi encountered a temple in Córdoba, Spain. Inside, he witnessed Christians praying alongside Muslims and Jews. When asked about this unusual gathering, he spoke words that would echo through centuries. The heart capable of every form is like a mirror. It reflects every face that looks into it. This simple observation captures the essence of the universal path, that truth, like light, can shine through many windows. The universal spiritual path rests on three fundamental pillars. First, there's the recognition of our essential unity with the divine. This isn't merely an intellectual understanding, but a lived experience that transforms our entire being. Think of it as discovering that you're not just a wave on the ocean, but the ocean itself, infinite, boundless, and eternally present. Second, we find the principle of progressive purification. Just as a telescope must be carefully cleaned and aligned to reveal distant stars, our consciousness requires systematic refinement to perceive deeper realities. This purification isn't about rejecting our humanity, but about removing the accumulated dust that obscures our natural radiance. Third, there's the understanding that spiritual awakening serves not just individual transformation, but collective evolution. Like a single cell becoming healthy contributes to the well-being of the entire body, each person who awakens adds to humanity's collective consciousness. What makes this path truly universal is its emphasis on direct experience over belief. Rather than asking us to accept dogmas or theories, it invites us to explore our own consciousness through practical methods that have been tested across millennia. Meditation, contemplation, service to others. These are the timeless technologies of transformation that work regardless of one's cultural or religious background. Consider how a scientist in a laboratory and a monk in a monastery might appear to be walking different paths. The scientist peers through microscopes and telescopes, seeking to understand the fundamental nature of reality through empirical observation. The monk turns the lens of awareness inward, exploring the depths of consciousness through meditation. Yet both are engaged in the profound quest to understand the nature of existence. Their methods differ, but their ultimate goal, truth, remains the same. This universal path also reveals something remarkable about human potential. Just as every acorn contains within it the blueprint of a mighty oak, every human being carries the seed of enlightenment. The path simply provides the conditions, like soil, water, and sunlight, for that seed to flourish naturally. As we conclude this first section, remember that recognizing the universal nature of the spiritual path doesn't mean we should abandon our unique traditions or practices. Rather, it allows us to appreciate how our particular path connects to the greater whole, like understanding how our local stream eventually joins the vast ocean. Picture a crystal-clear mountain lake, its surface so still It perfectly mirrors the sky above. This pristine reflection is only possible because of the lake's purity. No sediment clouds its depths. No ripples disturb its surface. This is the perfect metaphor for what ancient traditions call the purified heart, a state of being where our inner essence reflects divine consciousness without distortion. Let me share with you an ancient Sufi teaching story that beautifully illustrates this principle. A seeker once approached a wise woman, complaining that despite years of spiritual practice, he felt no closer to enlightenment. The wise woman handed him a dusty mirror and asked, "What do you see?" He replied, "Nothing clearly. The mirror is too dirty." She smiled and said, "And this is why we begin with the heart. How can you expect to see the divine when the mirror of your heart is clouded by the dust of yesterdays?" The purification of the heart isn't about achieving moral perfection. It's about creating space for light to enter. Imagine your heart as an ancient house filled with generations of accumulated belongings. Some are treasured memories, others are wounds we've carried far too long, and many are simply outdated patterns that no longer serve us. The process of purification is like mindfully sorting through this house, deciding what truly belongs and what can be released with love. This journey of heart purification unfolds in 3 natural stages. First comes awareness, the courage to look honestly at what we carry within. Like turning on the light in a long-closed room, this initial illumination might reveal more dust than we expected. But remember, seeing the dust is the first step to cleaning it away. Each unexamined emotion, each habitual reaction, each old wound that we bring into consciousness becomes an opportunity for transformation. The second stage is acceptance. Not the passive acceptance that says, "This is just how things are," but the dynamic acceptance that creates space for change. When we truly accept what we find within our hearts, including the parts we'd rather not see, something miraculous happens. The very act of accepting begins to dissolve the patterns that no longer serve us. Finally comes transformation, the natural result of sustained awareness and acceptance. Like ice melting in warm sunlight, our rigid patterns and old wounds begin to dissolve, revealing the pristine awareness that was always there beneath them. This transformation isn't something we do. It's something we allow to happen by creating the right conditions. Throughout this process, emotion plays a fascinating role. Each feeling that arises is like a messenger carrying information about where purification is needed. Even difficult emotions, anger, fear, jealousy, become our teachers when we learn to welcome them with awareness rather than pushing them away or getting lost in their stories. Consider how a skilled gardener approaches an overgrown garden. They don't judge the weeds as bad or wrong. They simply recognize what supports the garden's flourishing and what doesn't. Similarly, heart purification isn't about judging our thoughts and emotions, but about discerning what nourishes our spiritual growth and what hinders it. This purification process reveals something remarkable. The heart's natural state is one of profound peace and clarity. Just as a pond naturally settles when we stop stirring it, our heart naturally returns to its pristine state when we stop clouding it with unnecessary activity. This is why all spiritual traditions emphasize simplicity, not as a moral virtue, but as a practical aid to seeing clearly. As we prepare to transition to our next topic about the stages of spiritual growth, it's worth noting that heart purification isn't a one-time event, but an ongoing journey. Like tending a garden or cleaning a beloved home, it's a labor of love that continues to reveal new layers of beauty and understanding. Imagine consciousness as a magnificent ancient temple, with each level revealing new mysteries, new understandings, and new dimensions of being. Like climbing a sacred mountain, each stage of spiritual growth offers both challenges and profound revelations, transforming not just what we know, but who we fundamentally are. Let me share a timeless Zen story that illuminates this journey. A monk once asked his teacher, "What are the stages of enlightenment?" The master picked up an empty cup and began pouring tea. The cup filled, yet he continued pouring until tea spilled everywhere. "Master," exclaimed the monk, "the cup is already full." The master smiled and replied, "Like this cup, we must first empty ourselves to receive new wisdom. Each stage of growth begins with letting go of what we think we know." The stages of spiritual growth unfold like the blooming of a cosmic lotus, each petal opening in its perfect time. Yet unlike a physical journey where we can see the summit from the beginning, this path reveals itself step by step, each stage preparing us for revelations we couldn't have imagined from where we started. The first stage is what mystics call the awakening, like someone who has lived their entire life in a dimly lit room suddenly glimpsing sunlight through a crack in the wall. We begin to sense that there's something more to existence than we've previously known. This stage often arrives through what Carl Jung called sacred disruption, perhaps a profound loss, an unexpected joy, or a moment of inexplicable grace that cracks open our ordinary perception. The second stage brings us into the purification, which we explored earlier, but now takes on a new dimension. Here, we begin to understand that purification isn't just about clearing away negativity. It's about creating space for something vastly greater than our current understanding to emerge. Like a telescope being calibrated to see distant galaxies, our entire being undergoes a profound refinement. As we move into the third stage, the illumination, something remarkable occurs. The boundaries between observer and observed begin to dissolve. Remember those moments when you've been so absorbed in something beautiful, perhaps a sunset or a piece of music, that you momentarily forgot yourself? This stage is like that, but it extends into every moment of life. The separate self begins to recognize itself as a wave in the infinite ocean of consciousness. The fourth stage brings us to what traditions call the dark night of the soul. This isn't a regression, but a necessary transformation. Like a caterpillar dissolving in its chrysalis, everything we thought we knew about ourselves and reality seems to fall away. This stage tests not our strength, but our surrender. It's here that the ego faces its deepest fears and attachments. Finally emerges the stage of divine union, though even calling it a stage is misleading because it's more like awakening to what was always true. Imagine you've been watching a movie so intently that you forgot you were in a theater. This stage is like suddenly remembering, not as an idea, but as a lived reality, that your true nature was never separate from the divine. Yet even this isn't the end. Each stage contains infinite depths, like fractals, revealing new patterns at every level of magnification. The journey continues to unfold, but now from a place of recognized unity rather than seeking. As one Sufi master beautifully expressed it, the journey doesn't end at the ocean. It begins there. Throughout these stages, something fascinating happens to our relationship with time. In early stages, we often feel we're moving towards something in the future. But as we progress, we begin to recognize that what we're seeking isn't ahead of us in time, but deeper into the present moment. It's not about getting somewhere else, but about fully arriving here. Remember though, these stages aren't linear stepping stones, but more like overlapping waves of understanding. Sometimes we might experience profound glimpses of later stages while still working through earlier ones. This is perfectly natural, like how the sun can briefly break through clouds even on an overcast day. As we prepare to explore how these stages interweave with life's cycles of karma and dharma, it's worth noting that every person's journey through these stages is uniquely their own. While the fundamental transformations are universal, how they manifest in each life is as unique as a fingerprint. Imagine existence as an intricate tapestry where every thread you weave creates patterns that ripple through the fabric of your life. Karma and dharma are like the warp and weft of this cosmic weaving, one representing the consequences of our choices, the other revealing our unique role in the grand design. Let me share a story from the Buddhist tradition that illuminates this dance of karma and dharma. A young monk once complained to his teacher about repeatedly facing the same challenges in life. The teacher led him to a garden and asked him to walk in a circle. After several rounds, the monk noticed he had created a path in the grass. "Now try walking differently," the teacher suggested. But even with conscious effort, the monk kept falling into the old groove. "This," the teacher explained, "is karma, the patterns we create. But your dharma, your sacred purpose, begins the moment you recognize you can step out of the circle entirely. Karma isn't the simplistic cosmic payback system it's often portrayed to be. Rather, it's more like the profound principle that every musician knows. You can only play what you've practiced. The notes you've rehearsed, consciously or unconsciously, become the song you're able to perform. Similarly, karma represents the accumulated patterns of our thoughts, actions, and intentions that shape our present experience. Think of karma as spiritual physics, not a system of punishment and reward, but a natural law of cause and effect operating at the subtle levels of consciousness. Just as a pebble dropped in a pond creates ripples that transform the entire surface, each choice we make sends waves through the field of our experience, eventually returning to shape our reality. But here's where dharma enters the picture, bringing a fascinating twist to this cosmic dance. Dharma is like your unique musical signature in the universal symphony. It's not just about following prescribed rules or duties. It's about discovering and expressing your essential nature in service to the whole. Imagine a rose bush. Its dharma isn't to produce apples or to grow tall like a pine. Its dharma is to be gloriously, unabashedly rose-like, offering its beauty and fragrance to the world. The interplay between karma and dharma creates a remarkable dynamic. Karma shows us where we've been, the patterns, habits, and tendencies we've developed over time. Dharma shows us where we're called to go, the unique contribution we're designed to make to the world. When these forces align, life takes on a quality of flow and purpose that feels both effortless and deeply fulfilling. This understanding transforms how we view life's challenges. That difficult relationship, that recurring struggle, that persistent pattern. These aren't punishments, but opportunities for growth, places where karma and dharma are asking us to evolve. Like a master jeweler who knows exactly where to tap to split a diamond along its natural grain, life's challenges often reveal the precise points where our growth is most needed and possible. Consider how a river finds its way to the ocean. It doesn't fight against gravity or try to flow uphill. It follows its natural course while adapting to the landscape it encounters. Similarly, living in harmony with karma and dharma isn't about forcing change, but about understanding and working with the natural laws of spiritual evolution. As we navigate these cycles, we discover something profound. Karma isn't just personal, it's also collective. We're not isolated actors, but participants in a vast web of interconnected causes and effects. Your individual dharma, then, becomes your unique way of contributing to the healing and evolution of the whole. This brings us to a revolutionary understanding. We're not just passive recipients of karma, nor are we bound by it. Through conscious awareness and alignment with our dharma, we can begin to transform our karmic patterns. It's like learning to write with your non-dominant hand. At first awkward and requiring great attention, but eventually becoming natural through practice and persistence. As we prepare to explore transformational practices that can assist in this journey, remember that understanding karma and dharma isn't about achieving perfect action, but about developing perfect attention, the ability to witness and participate in life's unfolding with awareness and intention. Picture yourself standing before an ancient alchemist's laboratory, filled with mysterious instruments and sacred geometries. But in this journey of transformation, you are both the alchemist and the precious metal being refined. The practices we're about to explore are like the master alchemist's tools, each one precisely crafted to facilitate the great work of spiritual transformation. Let me share a story from the Sufi tradition that captures the essence of transformational practice. A young seeker spent years performing elaborate spiritual exercises, yet felt no closer to enlightenment. One day, watching an old woman mindfully washing dishes while silently repeating God's name, he realized a profound truth. It's not the complexity of the practice, but the quality of presence we bring to it that transforms us. Transformational practices work like keys that unlock different chambers of consciousness. Just as a master pianist must first learn scales before playing symphonies, these practices create the fundamental conditions for deeper awakening. They're not about adding something to who we are, but about removing the veils that obscure who we've always been. The first and perhaps most fundamental practice is meditation, but not just as a scheduled activity. Think of meditation as the art of discovering stillness within motion, silence within sound. Imagine a deep lake. Storms may rage on the surface, but in its depths, there's perfect tranquility. True meditation is about finding that unchanging depth within ourselves, even amidst life's constant movement. Forgiveness emerges as another crucial practice, but not in the conventional sense. Rather than just pardoning past wrongs, spiritual forgiveness is like cleaning a window through which you view reality. Each act of genuine forgiveness removes another layer of distortion from your perception, allowing you to see life more clearly, more compassionately. Self-awareness practice becomes like maintaining a sacred fire. It requires constant attention but illuminates everything it touches. This isn't about harsh self-analysis, but about developing the kind of gentle, unwavering attention that a mother gives her newborn child. Every thought, emotion, and sensation becomes a messenger carrying news from the depths of your being. One particularly powerful practice involves what mystics call sacred remembrance. the art of maintaining awareness of the divine while engaged in ordinary activities. Imagine weaving golden threads of consciousness through every moment of your day. This practice transforms mundane activities into opportunities for awakening, until eventually, as one Zen master put it, chopping wood and carrying water become indistinguishable from enlightenment itself. The practice of service, karma yoga, takes on new significance when approached as a transformational tool. Each act of service becomes an opportunity to dissolve the illusion of separation. Like a wave realizing its oneness with the ocean through the very act of flowing, we discover our unity with all life through giving ourselves fully to others. Perhaps the most subtle yet powerful practice is what some traditions call witnessing consciousness, the art of maintaining awareness of awareness itself. Imagine standing on a mountaintop, watching clouds pass by. The clouds are your thoughts, emotions, and experiences, but you are the vast sky containing them all. This practice gradually reveals your true nature as the unchanging witness of all changing phenomena. These practices work together synergistically, like different instruments in an orchestra creating a symphony of transformation. Each one addresses a different aspect of our being, yet all serve the same ultimate purpose, awakening us to our true nature. Yet here's a crucial understanding. These practices aren't about reaching a future state of enlightenment, but about discovering the enlightenment that's already present. They're like removing curtains from windows to reveal the sunlight that was always there. The transformation they facilitate isn't about becoming something different, but about recognizing what we've always been. As we prepare to explore how these practices relate to the ego's transformation, remember that the most powerful practice is often the simplest one done consistently. Like water slowly wearing away stone, it's not the force but the persistence of practice that creates lasting transformation. Imagine consciousness as a vast ocean and the ego as a small boat upon its surface. For so long, we've identified solely with the boat, believing it to be our entire reality. The journey of ego transformation is like gradually realizing that we are, in fact, the boundless ocean itself, while learning to appreciate the boat's sacred role in navigating the waves of existence. Let me share a luminous teaching story that captures this delicate dance of transformation. A master sculptor was asked how he created such breathtaking statues from blocks of marble. He smiled and replied, "I don't create the statue. I simply remove everything that isn't the statue. It was there all along." This profound metaphor illuminates the true nature of ego transformation. Not a process of building something new, but of unveiling what has always been present beneath the layers of constructed identity. The ego's journey of transformation unfolds like a sacred alchemical process, where base metal gradually transforms into gold. But here's the fascinating paradox. The ego itself becomes the crucible for its own transformation. Like a candle flame that provides light until dawn, the ego serves a crucial purpose until it naturally dissolves into the greater light of awakened consciousness. Think of how a caterpillar doesn't simply grow wings. It must first enter the mystery of complete dissolution within its chrysalis. Similarly, ego transformation involves periods where our familiar sense of self seems to dissolve into unknowing. These passages can feel disorienting, like being caught between worlds. Yet, just as the caterpillar's dissolution is precisely what allows the butterfly to emerge, these moments of ego dissolution create space for our greater nature to unfold. This transformation occurs in fascinating waves of understanding. The first wave often comes as a profound recognition, like someone lost in a movie suddenly remembering they're sitting in a theater. We begin to witness the ego's activities rather than being completely identified with them. This simple shift in perspective initiates a cascade of deeper revelations. As this witnessing deepens, something remarkable occurs. We discover that the ego isn't our enemy, but a sacred instrument of consciousness itself. Like a telescope that helps us view distant stars, the ego allows infinite consciousness to experience itself through the lens of individual perspective. Understanding this transforms our relationship with the ego from adversarial to deeply appreciative. The process reveals an exquisite paradox. The more gently and compassionately we hold the ego, the more naturally it relaxes its grip on our identity. It's like holding sand. The tighter we grasp, the more it slips through our fingers. But when we open our palm, it rests there peacefully. This understanding leads to a profound shift from ego suppression to ego integration. Consider how a skilled sailor works with the wind rather than against it. Similarly, mature spiritual understanding doesn't fight the ego but learns to work with its natural movements while remaining anchored in deeper awareness. The ego becomes like a trusted steed that carries us through the world of form, while we remain seated in transcendent awareness. As transformation deepens, we discover that the ego has a sacred role in the cosmic dance. Rather than something to be eliminated, it becomes more like a translucent veil that both reveals and conceals the infinite. Like how white clouds in the sky create depth and beauty while being made of the same essence as the sky itself, the ego adds texture and uniqueness to the expression of consciousness. This brings us to perhaps the most beautiful revelation, that ego transformation isn't about reaching a fixed state of egolessness, but about the ego becoming increasingly transparent to the light of consciousness. Like a stained glass window that both colors and transmits light, the transformed ego becomes a unique prism through which the divine expresses itself in the world. As we conclude our exploration of these profound territories of consciousness, remember that ego transformation isn't a journey from imperfection to perfection, but from unconscious limitation to conscious limitlessness. The ego isn't transcended by fighting it, but by loving it into transparency. This understanding completes the circle of our entire journey, from the universal spiritual path, through heart purification, stages of growth, karma and dharma, transformational practices, and finally, to this profound alchemy of the ego. Each aspect reveals another facet of the same diamond of truth, each perspective enriching our understanding of the whole. Like a grand symphony reaching its final movement, we've traversed the sacred territories of spiritual awakening, each aspect illuminating another facet of this timeless journey. From the universal path that unites all seekers to the subtle alchemy of ego transformation, we've mapped the landscape of consciousness that sages have explored for millennia. Remember that beautiful metaphor we began with, the mountain with its many paths leading to the same luminous peak? Now we understand that the mountain itself is made of consciousness, and we are not just climbers, but the very essence of what we seek. The journey of awakening isn't about reaching a distant summit, but about recognizing the truth of what we've always been. As you integrate these teachings into your own journey, remember that each step, whether through heart purification, karma's lessons, or ego's transformation, is perfectly orchestrated by the divine intelligence that moves through all things. Like a master weaver creating an intricate tapestry, every experience serves the grand design of awakening. If this exploration has resonated with your soul's deepest knowing, consider joining our community of seekers. Subscribe to continue our shared journey of discovery, and remember to share this wisdom with others who might be seeking these same truths. Each person who awakens adds their light to the collective illumination of consciousness.